Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Good afternoon. My name is Temidayo Divine, and I am your host for today. And I'm also a member of the Priceless Tribe community. And here is my guest.
I'm David Faloye, a student of veterinary medicine, College of Veterinary Medicine, FUNAP. All right. Also a member of the Priceless Tribe community, and it's such an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's
Thank
also
you.
an honor having
Thank you.
a very, a leader that we all look up to. Um, this month, the theme for our of the community is discipline and consistency, and because we've looked at your background, we've looked at your records, and we can see that you're a leader both in school and in fellowship. And before, I would like to just know how that started for you. What was your upbringing like exactly? What did you do on Saturdays? What did you see your parents doing in the morning and all of that? Please take us through it.
So born in a typical Christian home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So always starts out with early mornings, early morning devotions. You have everyone preparing for school. Mom was a banker, so you can think about waking up around 4:30, 5, right, preparing us for school, right. She might eventually leave. Then dad is a civil servant, so he drives us to school, drops us off, and then goes to his place of work. So, you know, as Christians, we're so integrated into church. My dad's an elder, my mom is a deaconess, right? So church was the main thing, right? Go for midweek services, Saturdays, hang around church, hang around choir, right? Sunday we're there, all right. So it was always like that. And that's the musician, right? That's where my musical inclination came from. My dad
Mm,
sings, he plays instruments, he plays songs a lot. Right, so that kind of, anytime I think about childhood, it was always about how my dad would just play songs on his laptop. Then, everybody's just singing. There's just our house is always lively. Like there's
mm,
always song in the air. If it's laptop, if it's on theater, anything, there's always music. And then, right, at different points in time, we began to find our passions to music. Right,
mm,
I mean, all of us. Except my mom, do. It just kind of shaped up because you know just that was where we began to learn duty and responsibilities. Right, that was where we
duties
began,
and
duty. We have to
responsibilities.
meet up with rehearsals by 4 p.m. Okay, what do we have to do on Saturday to ensure that we are not late for rehearsals?
Mm,
We have midweek service. That is typical CAC church. That is, we have a week-long
okay.
revival meetings, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we have evening revival by 5 p.m.
Mm,
Okay, how can I quickly do it that we have chores to do, so that by the time we are coming late by night, we won't have work to do, or we won't have them complaining that we do not do what we're meant to do. So it was always like that, because as choristers, we have to be there earlier than everybody. So that's prompted, it kind of prompted such that even our holidays is not as though we are living carefree lives. We're not
mm,
just living, the typical holiday of, typical end of session, all those
mm-hmm.
2 months holidays. It's not as though we are just wasting away, such that we are committed to something. All
Mm.
right,
It was always structured.
mommy was someone big on, you have to read something. She
Mm,
was a banker, so she was so conscious of the fact that I can't leave my children at home and they
mm-hmm.
are just going to be wasting away. So
Mm,
every time after every term, she would present us with gifts. Our gifts can be Bible story,
mm-hmm.
our gifts can be Bible. She can give us new books, write out these scriptures, memorize them. All right, so reading was our thing. She
Mm.
buys books for us.
Reading was our thing. I think that's a very big skill everyone should really go for, the ability to be able to enjoy reading. And one thing I believe in is that your foundation has a lot. Not even one thing I believe in, is just really the truth. The kind of setting you grew up in, your environment, what you see your parent did, your
Mm,
mirrors, your early mirrors actually matters a lot, and the kind of things that you were subjected to as a child. I like the fact that I could be able to relate to some of the things you said, because I was also going to ask you, if, because you said your dad was kind of musical, so
mm,
you had to, your brothers, your sister, and you had
mm,
to learn some musical instruments, and
yeah,
definitely you'll be in the choir. So
yeah.
I was going to ask you how you functioned in the choir, like going early to choir practice. I
Yeah.
was I was also in the workers, as an early child.
Yeah.
So I understood that I had to, even when you go late, even when you go for vigil, you are still going to choir practice on Saturday, and
Yeah.
you are coming back
Typical.
like literally in the
Yeah.
dawn of Saturday, and you had to just do everything you had to do. And I'm talking as young as I was 10, 11, and I was going for choir practice with my older sister. That's very great. That's very great. And having said all of that, I would like to know, when at what point did you realize that these things that were instilled in me as a child actually was a necessity? At what point did you realize that?
All right. So um, it started in secondary school. So I attended the military school, secondary school, boarding school, and eventually I was, you know, when I began to learn the trumpets, I was in JS3. We
Mm.
had this break after our BEC exams, and then we're like, what are we going to use this break for? It's about 4 months holiday before
Mm.
resuming SS1. So I picked up the trumpet, and eventually SS1 I began to play in the school band. So it was a military school. Think about that. So, all right, it came to me that I was the youngest in the band, right? As at that time, but I
Mm.
was the only trumpeter, so it was kind of unique. We never had this before, so there was attention on me, right?
Mm.
There was just kind of like a new spotlight. It's kind of like I entered a new season of my life, a new phase that I was not, would I say, was not prepared for, or to think about it, that I had been prepared for. All right, so I now began to take on responsibilities in the band, right?
Mm.
Having to lead contemporaries, people in my class, and even
How old were
lower
you at this
levels.
point?
At this point, I was just 12.
12.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was 12, right, when I began learning trumpet. And then, so it turned out that I had to, having to combine that early morning parades on assembly grounds,
Mm.
play the trumpet like 5 days a week. There's chapel on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
right? All of that sense of duty and responsibility that has
Duty
been
and
there. It didn't
responsibility.
come as a overwhelming task. So it's
Mm.
just kind of my life. I was zealous to do it. I was
Mm.
passionate about it. I was kind of living the life. Like I was happy doing them, right? Effortlessly, to say that, effortlessly. So it was just kind of, I was just made for stuff like this, right? SS2, I was able to teach a couple of guys the trumpet that then eventually became the band leader and all of that. SS3, it just became better and better. Even at the
Mm.
chapel, as at that level, I began to take executive positions
Wow.
alongside. So all of those just kind of, and also that was just like my avenues, will I say, my room to at least take on and express what I have learned over the years.
Mm.
So those were the days of my early flaws, mistakes, place where I made my mistakes, and I can always look back to those times and see how much I've grown
Mm.
within a
Good.
short period of time.
Mm.
All right, so there were days when I was not so good of a leader. There were days I didn't, exemplify excellence. There were days I didn't show up as I
Mm-hmm.
should. All right, even being the band leader. So all of those, it makes me tell us that those were the days I could afford to make mistakes.
Mm.
But thinking about it now, I can't afford to make those kind of mistakes now, right?
Mm.
So it was kind of like a privilege for me to grow, right, and then maximize all
Mm.
of the things that were embedded in me. And it has always been a progressive journey, even post secondary school. I just get to know more about myself,
Mm.
know more about myself. So, looking back now, of course, definitely you'll be like, our parents were too forced and too strict on us, all right, but it was to our advantage, right?
Yeah.
Good doesn't come without being refined. So
Mm-hmm.
we look at it now,
Mm.
and if I'm grateful for the David I am now, it was because of those early days. And
Definitely.
definitely, it's a progressive journey. I'm still on that growth
Mm-hmm.
journey, but of course, better than before. And
Better than
yeah,
before. That's what
definitely.
matters. So, one of the things that you said to me that stuck with me was that you've grown, and I think that's a for a person to say I've grown. It means you've definitely, there's a difference between how you were and how you are now.
Yeah.
And I would like to just know, not even know per se, because you have grown. When you were 12 and you were given those duties and responsibilities, is now different from how you would handle leadership positions now. And how do you manage school, leadership position in church, leadership position in your department, and your overall growth, daily life, daily life.
Right. Okay. So, one of the things that I've been amassed over time is that now I have capacity to handle more things than before. I have the capacity to manage multiple responsibilities
Mm,
together simultaneously. All right. So, looking at the fact that you know there's something that comes with now. I'm a vet student, and
mm,
I think one of the things people don't know, it just looks from the outside. Why is medicine school hard? Why is medical school kind of tough? Like the way it's painted outside is really not so because of the fact that our course content is so voluminous. Yeah, why that is true, it is because of the rigor it comes with it, right? So coming into vet school typically starts 200 level, so you get exposed to a whole lot of information that you've not interacted with before. All right, so new terms, new like concepts, new theories, everything is pushed to you. And the only way you can actually survive is how fast can you adapt to that system.
mm,
Right. Juggling 9 a.m. classes, you have 3 hours, 4 hours lectures, then we go for break, then we'll have about 3, 4 hours practicals after. Then looking at that life. So there's something it comes with. So ability to adapt to that system, right, was one of the first things that it stretches my person, it stretches anyone. I mean, it stretches. So the people that eventually fall out are those that can't bear that it. So, but eventually there's something we always realize in that moment. It's like you want actually really want to. It's like you've come to the end of yourself. You realize that you thought you had fuel for that journey, but so there's something that comes with it that eventually, because we survived that phase,
mm,
there's just like in you break out of some shell, right? And you just come to some definite conclusions that if I could survive this, then definitely there's nothing that can get at me again. So it comes with that there's a new mindset.
mm,
Yeah, what really now happens is you begin to think. That's why you now see that doctors talk differently, they think differently,
mm,
because there's a lot of things that's in between the lines that we've gone
mm-hmm.
through those 6 years of hard training, of classes and assignments, and all having all of that. So there's the new consciousness that there's really nothing that can get at me if I could survive this class, if I could survive this semester. Right. So I said that to say that, all right, now looking at responsibilities that came along the line. All right, so as early as 300 level, I became the assistant choir coordinator in the college fellowship. All right, and that came with more burden, having to stay back after classes to observe the school prayers, prepare meetings. Fellowship was on Friday, alongside with the fact that we are vet students. All
Mm,
right, so all right, that kind of like it just tells me, for the fact that I have more to do. So now I actually have to make and define my time. So I really don't have time to waste. I'm always working with that consciousness of I don't have time to waste. So every time, every day, I'm always thinking, why am I here? What am I here for? What am I
mm.
doing
A
now?
sense of direction,
Right?
of
What am I
purpose.
doing now? So there's a
Mm,
mental picture of what I'm doing. There's
mm,
mental. So knowing that, okay, it's not. Of course, it's not going to be easy for me to stay back after class to read extra 2 hours before going
mm-hmm.
to hostel, because going to hostel would make me resume into some duties that are extracurricular. Right.
Mm,
So that kind of balances out itself. So while I'm in class, I'm strictly in class for class. So
mm,
leadership does not come into class. I'm a student in class. Right. I'm a student in class, and then all of my quest is that I can make maximum productivity within short period of time. So within the time frame of class 9 to 6, I want to maximize that time for my academics, and then knowing fully well that if I manage it so well, going outside class, leaving class by 6, resuming into the extracurricular demands of leadership on my time. So it's kind of like balancing out yourself. So many times we think of balance as a 50-50 thing. One thing I've come to realize is that we are not cats that have 9 lives,
mm,
figuratively. I'm first a Christian, so that's the priority. I'm first a Christian, then I'm a Christian as a student. Eventually, I'm a Christian as a student, as a leader. So it kind of line up like that. So it's still me, this one person, right? So I am not kind of not like I'll leave church on Sunday and then on Sunday I'm not like trying to enter another
Mm,
personality. It's still the same person.
mm,
It's just me like living, having to transition and
mm,
knowing that I'm a Christian. So my morning is starting with early morning devotion, my quiet time. I'm already projecting how my day will go, thinking about how my day will go, right? And going to
mm,
class. In class, I'm already looking at what I have to do here and there. How do I want to balance these things? Okay. After class, I'm already looking at okay, what do I have to do? Right. I'm still this one person. All of my fellowship, all of my intimacy is intertwined,
mm,
right? And all of those things are not out of context of each other. You
mm,
understand? So as much as I'm a student, I'm seeing how that my future is also in the extracurriculars I'm doing. Right? I'm
mm,
not just eventually going to be a doctor at the end. I will be a
mm,
doctor and I'll still be a leader eventually. So
mm,
it's the same priority. We'll do all and would be good at all we do. One will not suffer for one. Balance
mm.
can be 70-30. Balance can be 60-40, as it might seem at different points in time. But all right, how it has been is that this one is not, I'm not doing it such that, oh, this, I'll try and show up for them. Right. So some people enter leadership and they look like, I'll just try and show up. I'll try and do it if I can. But if I don't do it, there's no way I'll be the person I am.
Mhm,
All right. So I'm not just going to be a student, I'm going to be a
mm,
leader. That's the kind of person I am. All right. So, I mean, my definition has been David is not just going to be a student. David
mm.
is not just going to be a doctor. I'll be a musician. I'll be many things at the same time. So it's just the joy of seeing myself becoming something.
So one of the books I read last week was The Heart of Laziness, and you actually spoke about two things there. Number one is not multitasking at a point. You said whenever you are in the class, you understand that you're a student and you do not combine leadership position with being a
Mm,
student. So whenever you're a student, you're a student.
yeah.
And when it's your time to be a leader, you are a leader. And I think that's one of the most vital thing that you can actually do to help your life, not multitasking and also avoiding distractions. And another thing you said was having a sense of focus, having a sense of purpose. You know what you want to be, and definitely you go for it every day. One thing I would like to ask is that not everybody actually had that privilege. Yes, some people were delegated, they were given duties and responsibilities at a young age, but they were not taught on how to actually go on about navigating through that process, and they had to learn it themselves. What would you say to people like that were not particularly given the chance to, oh yeah, go and read that book, oh
Mm,
yeah, do this and do that, that they just had to learn life or had to learn to read and do things on themselves? What would you
I
say?
think the first thing is to find a model in
Mm,
sense that find a type and a shadow. You see someone that exemplifies the future you look up to. You
mm,
see someone that is, just on that train of consistency. That
mm,
person that just you kind of envy that person, I would say. You just kind
mm,
of, how does this person do it? You you've appreciated that person enough to think that this person knows something I don't know. All right. So you
mm,
want to find a model, and God has this way of placing models everywhere we are, in your hostel, in class, and all of that. So you find a model and approach them. That's one of the best things that helps us. And oftentimes, is that willingness to be accountable to such persons. All right. I believe that God has placed those kinds of people that you will learn from them. Like you're going to really tell them about yourself and what you
mm,
intend to build. All right. What you intend to build. And when you meet with such persons, one things you do is that you actually have to pace yourself. All right. The concept is discipline, just as you've said. All right. But because we were not formally taught or groomed that way, it comes out at first.
yeah.
Right? It comes out at first. So you that aside, you would have to be conscious about it. Because many times one of the things we see is that people desire greatness, but they are not willing to pay the price for it. They are
Mm,
not willing to pay the price for it. So one of the times, imagine a person meets, how do you do this? And this person is talking, I wake up early, I wake up, and it actually has to take a measure of determination to inculcate new habits. I think that's where I'm actually going, right?
Mm.
Because the truth is, there's nothing else to do. You actually have to inculcate new habits. You have to drop some old habits and inculcate new habits. You have to now, man, something as simple as waking up early, something as, yeah. So it will come hard at first,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of grit on that that you need. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So when you meet with that person, must be accountable, willing to, okay, say that, okay, based on our last interactions, this was how I was able to apply this. All right. I think within the space of 2 weeks, I've been able to do this, although I've not been consistent, but I'm glad that I was able to attempt this. All right. One of the things I think I'm going to tie this with the fact that there's also something about we becoming better versions of ourselves. It comes with its ups and downs of
Mm.
days when we were not consistent.
Mm.
Days when we were not consistent. One of the things is to first of all respond to the nudge, the first nudge that, oh, I think I'll fix the time. Let me say 8 p.m. to say that I'll read. The, immediately we have that nudge. Can you just like respond? If
Mm.
I fix that time, then I just get there. Eventually, if I don't do the activity, I think it's rewarding enough to believe that my heart showed up. Even though I didn't show up in act, my
Mm.
heart showed up. So eventually,
Mm.
we'll be able
Mm.
to
Mm.
measure
Mm.
our growth
Mm.
that way.
Mm.
I don't
My
know if I
heart
was able
showed
to.
up. I think
Yeah.
that's a very big part. It just really shows that you've been conscious of that habit enough, or that you've said it to yourself that this is what I'm going to do, and you are conscious of the fact that you are, even if you're not doing it, you're still conscious
Yeah,
of it.
that's
I think that's a great thing that my heart
my
shows it.
heart.
One of the things I would also say is to, like you said, pick up new habits intentionally. That's a great way to be. So one of the things I would like to know is that definitely there are days that you feel burnt out. There are days you don't want to do anything. You just want to sleep on your bed. I don't want to go to class. I just want to sleep. I just want to graduate. Right? There are days that you feel like that. How then do you survive on days like that when you don't feel like doing anything?
I think it's still a continuation of the fact that, as I said, my heart shows up. Right,
Mm.
and my heart shows up by the fact that I'm actually conscious of that activity, and I want to actually support myself to do it. But then there are days we don't do it eventually. But of course, not everybody, every day, not every day actually looks like that. Right. So one of the things I actually do is to intentionally just like filter down to maybe just three important things that I will do today. All
Mm.
right. One of the things that overwhelms us unconsciously is the fact that right when we start the day, we already think that, oh, there's a lot I have to do today, and that can be overwhelming in itself. So you want to narrow down to what are the most important things I must do. What am I must do? What am I must do?
Mm.
There's this Eisenhower matrix of delegation that really works well with me. There are things that I must do. There are the things that I can do. There are the things that I may do, right? So when you categorize your activity into things like that, what are the most do's? What are the things I can do? The things you can do, you can delegate, right? The things that you may do, right? You can push them for later, and
Mm.
that will not be procrastination, and you will still be
Mm.
effective because the most important things are the must do's. So when you identify all of these categories, it's a clear way of knowing what to do.
Mm. 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 I love that. I think one thing that I've actually learned of recent is to actually do the hard things first.
Mm.
So that thing that I feel like is going to be is so big for me to execute in a day is what I'll first do.
Yeah, true.
Wow.
Let's go
So,
ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead.
wow. Can you repeat that delegation? I'm so sorry.
Identify that there are some things I must do today.
I
There are the
must
things
do.
I can do,
I can
and there
do.
are the things I may do.
I may
All right,
do.
so that
Mm.
already lines up on a scale of preference. All right, so the things I must do, then let me focus on them. Things I can do are the things I can eventually do later.
Mm.
Right, can fix deadline for them or delegate them out to someone that can also do them.
Mm.
The things that I may
Delegating.
do, I may do
Mm.
them. I may do, okay. Let me fix it for another day. Right. Let me just or put it for later. Right.
I
That
think one of the
responsibility.
thing is also learning not to be a perfectionist
Yeah.
and not wanting to be in charge of. I feel when you grow up with a mentality of duties and responsibilities, there's a likeliness that you are more likely to want to do everything yourself, and you will know how to actually receive help.
Mm.
And I would actually like to ask you, what would you say makes students lose consistency and focus?
Okay. Recall your question again.
What
Sorry,
would you
start
say
again.
makes students lose consistency and focus?
Lose consistency and focus. Is misplaced priorities is one of the
Okay.
things. Misplaced priority. We don't get to start out early enough in the semester. We don't get to define our commitments, and we don't evaluate our responsibilities early enough. So we eventually fall into the error of misplaced priorities.
Mm.
So, for example, one of the things I do at the beginning of every session, I've written out all my courses, the minutes, and all that. All right. So, conscious of what is ahead of me. All right. So, right from that time, I'm already thinking of, okay, what are the responsibilities that have been saddled on me right now, and is there room for me to take on more? All right. So when I already defined that in my heart, there are things that have actually come on along the side attractions are actually good, but because I've defined my priorities early enough, I know that it's a no, however good it is. All
Mm.
right. All right. So I'm already thinking that, okay, while I'm resuming this session, I'll be taking on the role as a choir coordinator at my college. I'm a choir coordinator at my campus fellowship. All right. We have this international forum, International Veterinary Students Association. All right. I'm there as editor in chief. I'm in charge of the publicity team. All right. At the college level, I'm in the editorial board. So all of these things, I look at it and I say, okay, these things are going to demand my time. So there's no way something will pop up in the course of the semester
Mm.
that I'll give consent to and say, okay, I won't even, it won't be easy, it won't be hard for me to say no. All right. Because that's something people don't say no on time. People don't, they've not learned the art of saying no. All
Mm.
right. However good it may be. So
Mm.
that's something that
Mm.
I've been
I
able
think
to
that's
do.
a very handful skill to have. Learning to say no and not always jumping on everything
Yeah.
that you are being offered.
There's
How
this
do you make consistency interesting for people that don't like to be rigid?
consistency interesting for people that don't like to be rigid. Oh,
Consistency, daily routine, discipline.
yeah, one of the things I think it still falls to that matter of community and inner circles. All right. One of the things that helped me was people around me. All right, was people around me, my friends, for
Mm.
example. They are all productive in their own respect. So, for
Mm.
example, we can be gisting and all of that, and time is already going. Somebody can just be like, "I want to go pray," and I'll remember that okay, I actually have to pray too. So that kind of steers we steer each other. There's
Mm.
this
Iron
saying that we
sharpened
rise
iron.
by lifting others, and
Mm.
then there's this two are better than one, right?
Mm.
That's community sense, right?
Mm.
We are in this together. There are times we just get together and we just discuss how has it actually been for you, and this
Mm.
person be like, really, it has not been easy. Oh. This. Okay, but there was something I learned in this book. Oh, can I read that book? Now we already know I have a new book to read, right? There was okay. This person is telling me his challenge that oh, this is what I'm facing in my current phase. All right, what do you think I can do? And somehow those conversations is not really about me offering advice. It's just
Mm.
that we are reasoning together, and
Mm.
somehow something will come out of it, and we might have just found fuel for the next 6 months, and we just
Mm.
ride on that. Right. What I'm just saying is that when we meet with people that are within our context of our daily life, the
Mm.
context of our lifestyle, like as students now, my inner circle should consist of people around me. We
Mm.
shouldn't have inner circle of people that are not within our same location. We
Mm.
shouldn't have people that are far off, people that can relate to our present circumstance. So that way we have that feeling that we are not alone. You
Mm.
get
So would you
so
say discipline is a mindset, or it's a product of environment?
uh, environment sponsors it. Right. There are some environments that dampen discipline. Right. Environment can sponsor.
But don't you think you can be different? I'm the different one amongst many. Is in my mind to be committed
Yeah, yeah, that would be in context of someone that has built
it over time.
yeah, over
Mm.
time. All right, we can always do it, and then we can. It's just like Daniel and his companions. You see that place. But it wasn't only Daniel, even in that context.
Mm.
It was Daniel and his companions. Then
Mm.
they made up their minds they will not defy themselves in that land. So Daniel had his company, all right. But our company, we can still have a different. Maybe this one is not studying
Mm.
my course, it's not really my departmental mates, but we still have that sense of togetherness. That wherever we are still together.
Things that you people share similar values,
Exactly.
right?
All
That
right.
that's
So
that's
we're
great.
still
Mm.
so.
You also say that transparency matters in showing discipline.
Accountability. Yeah, there's no way we really want to be
And
disciplined
I'm
and
not saying
consistent.
accountability now. I'm saying
Mhm.
showing people that okay, there are times that also because there are times that Priceless is posting this to that to, and I'm like, bro, chill. It's not
Ah.
that deep. Calm down.
Anyways, well,
Oh.
we need to have at every point in time in a football match we almost have linesmen and
Mm.
referees that would call the shots and raise the flags, all right, so that we don't go offside and lose out on the rules of the game.
Mm.
Right. So we must know the rules of the game and appreciate people like them, right, for
Mm.
what they do, right? Because we actually need them. We actually need them
Yeah,
to
to push
bring us
us
back when we want to
definitely.
debate.
It actually does help.
Right. So
It
I
does
think
help.
that is there. But yeah, I agree. So one thing I also say is that we must also understand people, that we are working with, or should I say, as no, in discipline and consistency. One thing you want to understand is what background is this person coming
Coming
from,
from
and what level is this person currently
in
on.
their
All
growth.
right, so someone that has not been used to things like book
Mm-hmm.
reading, listening to podcast tips and all of that. So that kind of person, the way it's going to be for that person, you can't mount that same pressure
Pressure.
on someone that
It's just
all the
starting
person
out.
needs is execution, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
so I think what we want to do is, all right, we want to work with people the way they are, without flouting the rules of the game, without compromise, but we can alter the variables for them. All right, there are always constants and variables that make up every formula. All right, we
Mm.
know the constants that the goal is consistency. All right, but consistency for another bit is that I read one chapter this week. All right, that's consistency. All right, for another person it's daily. All right, for another person the consistency, I was able to finish one chapter this week, and that would tick as 100 for that
Mm-hmm.
person. So we must understand that, when we are looking at that, so as leaders we must be able to understand people and then know how to pace them, all right, without losing sight on accountability, without losing out on discipline.
Mm.
Definitely.
Accountability is very important. Even in your spiritual journey, community accountability,
Yeah.
these things are very important.
Okay.
If
Actually,
somebody today listening to you wants to become more consistent in their daily life, what is the first step you'd advise them to take?
the first is to define the need for discipline and consistency.
Mm.
When we evaluate, when we know the importance of it,
Mm.
all right, there's a back end integration within us that, okay, there's the reason why I have to do this. Right, this is why. All right, the person must have seen the reason for it. All right, that's one.
Mm.
So another is that the person then it now comes to now coming down to, okay, what do I really want to build? In
Mm.
what aspects do I really want to build discipline? What are my lapses? What are my lapses? What do I want to work on for now? Okay, what do I want to build? There are basic things like time management. There's time management. There's resource management. It could be financial literacy. You want to say, okay, how do I really want to this finance of a thing? Let me understand it. Then when you now discover those areas of your life that you want to, then exclusively go out for knowledge. Right? Yeah, we perish because we lack knowledge. Right? Ignorance has been our
Mm.
biggest challenge. So we want to fill all of the deficits we have on that subject topic. So you want to go exclusive for knowledge, right? That's where book reading comes in.
Mm.
That's where
Skill
seeking
learning.
counsel, you
Mm.
know, all of that. That place, that's where that. But what will fuel it is when you realize the need for it and
Mm.
how urgent it is for you to fill that gap. All right, that will continually fuel us to the place of showing up.
Mm.
So all of the in the place of knowledge, we begin to now decipher systems. we begin to decipher structures that okay to put
Mm.
in place. We begin to see okay what this is what I have to do to ensure that. So there's always that me making up my mind to do something. So if I learn on financial literacy, I will be the one to make up my mind to save.
I've learned a lot,
Yeah,
honestly, I have, and I'm so grateful to, to have hosted you, to have hosted this podcast. And shout out to all Priceless Tribe community. I'm also sure you've learned a lot. Even if I didn't take my book and my pen to write, I definitely have stored a lot in my head. And it's so great having you, Mr. Brother David Faloye.
yeah. Thank you very much. It's an
Yes.
honor to be here.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for this tribe. Thank
I'm
you.
very grateful for this community.
Shout out to Olori.
Olori every
It's
Priceless.
been a it's been a blessing to many, right?
Definitely.
All right, we are grateful for him. Right, yeah, just a few persons that are intentional about growth, that are intentional
Mm,
about pouring into others in this world.
mm,
So, we cannot but appreciate the person of Priceless.
mm.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'd like to say
Thank
one
you
more
very
thing.
much.
There's
Thank you.
something Banakin says, um, we would all be great, and the best thing is that we would know each other.
Definitely, definitely,
So nice.
definitely,
Thank you very much.
definitely. All
Thank
right.
you.